Hari. Sham Sharadava Nalari Daloka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Sham Sharadava Nalari Daloka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Praptasya Kalyana Guranavasya Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Praptasya Kalyana Guranavasya Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Charanaravrindam Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Mahaprabhu ki Tana Nitya Gita Vaditramadhyam Manasurasena Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Romanchakam Pasu Taranga Vajo Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shingaratanama Diramajanado Juktasya Bhaktamsa Niyunjatapi Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Chaturvidhashi Bhagavat Prasada Satana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangam Chaturvidhashi Bhagavat Prasada Satana Triptan Kridvaiva Triptin Bhajata Shadeva Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Shiradikama Gavayorapara Madhurya Leela Gunarupanam Shiradikama Para Madhuralila Gunarupa Pratikshana Dhanalalupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Ne kunjayuno ratikeli siddhai jajali bhir jukti apekshaniya ne kunjayuno ratikeli siddhai jajali bhir jukti apekshaniya tatrati daksha atibalavasya Vande Garashi Charanara Vrindam Ativalavasya Sakshat Haritena Shamasta Shashri Ruktastathava Vyataiva Sadhavi Kintu prabhoja priya eva tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Yasya prasada Bhagavat prasado Yasya prasadam nagati kutapi Yasya prasadam bhagavat prasado Yasya prasadam nagati kutapi Dhyayam stubham tasya yasatrin sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Yasatri Sandhyam Dhyayam Stuvam Tasya Yasatri Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Bhakti Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasatya Dishatarine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasatya Dishata Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Haribo Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Haribo, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Yadaye Nama, Krishna Jadavaye Nama, Jadavaye Madhavaya Kesavaye Nama, Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan, Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan, Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhattaraguna, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Haribo, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Shri Radha Nilamadha, Radha Nilamadhava Radhe, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra, Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Lakshman Hanuman, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Premanande, Haribo, Jai Vishnu Par Paramsa Prabha Jakacharya Suttara Sarashishima, Divine Grace, Bhoyacharavinda Bhakti Viranta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada की जय, ISKCON प्रतिष्ठा विविधि संस्थापक आचार्य वैष्णव शिरोमणि पतित पावन श्रील प्रभुपाद जी महाराज की जय, श्री गौर्य गुरु वर्गापति उद्धार की जय, श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास गुण सदगोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नाम आचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर जी की जय। जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसरि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय परम दयाल श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। जय प्रेम नाम संकीर्तन एक जनक प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम श्री सच्चिदानंद निष्मन गौरंग श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि महावरणावतार की जय। गोलोकेर प्रमधान हरिनाम संकीर्तन जगह की जय। जुग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। बृहद निदांग ट्रांसलेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जय। शिशु राधा कृष्ण को गोपीनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। श्री ब्रज भूमृंदावन मथुर धाम की जय। डेलोशिव शिशु राधा नील माधव की जय। श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्र धाम की जय। परम करुण श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्री पुरुषोत्तम चित्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय। भक्ति सर्व विघ्न अविनाशन कर सिंगरे भगवान की जय। जय गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी महारानी वृंदी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। जय श्री मथुरा रानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर हरि प्रेमानंदे। All glory to the assembly bodies. All glory to the assembly bodies. All glory to the assembly bodies. All glories, all glories, all glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Nitai Guru Pramanande. Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Pralada Larda Haine. Pralada Larda Haine. Hiranyakasipu Bhaksha. Silatangkanakalaye. Jaya Silatangkanakalaye. Ito nisinga, parato nisinga. Jato jato jamita to nisinga. Bayiri nisinga, hrudaye nisinga. Narasingha Madhime Sharanam Prapade. Tabakara Kamalavare Nakam Adabhuta Singha Lalita Hiranyakashipu Tanabringa Kesavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Re Jai Jagadisa Re Jai Jagadisa Re Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adabhuta Singha Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanabringa Kesavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re, Jai Jagadisha Re. Kesavadruta Narari Rupa, Jai Jagadisha Re, Jai Jagadisha Re, Jai Jagadisha Re. Jaya Nishingade, Jaya Nishingade, Nishingade, Jaya Nishingade. Jaya Narahari, Jaya Narahari, Narahari, Jaya Narahari. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Prahlad Mara, Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Prahlad Mara. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. जय श्री श्री भक्ति पथ सर्वविघ्नाशन कर सिंह हरे भगवान की जय। जय भक्त श्रेष्ठ प्रहलाद महाराज की। निताय गौरी प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Shri Vrindai Tulasi Bai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavataye Namo Namaha. Vrindayai Tulasi Bai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavataye Namo Namaha. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavataye Namo Namaha. Jai Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha. Tulasi Krishna Preyasi. Tulasi Krishna Preyasi. Namo Namaha. Tulasi Krishna. Radha Krishna Seva Pava Eya Vilasi. Radha Krishna Seva Pava Eya Vilasi. Chitamara Sharanala Taravancha Puna. Chitamara Sharana Taravancha Kripa Kori Kara Tare Vrindavana Vasi. Tumi kripa kori karatare Vrindavana Vasi. Moraya Vilas Kunje Diyava. Nayane Ribosada Jugala Ruparasi. Eni Vedana Dhara Shakirano Gata Kora. Sevayari Kora Diye Koro Nijadasi. Dina Krishna Das Ko Eye Namorao. Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sada Inavasi. Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sada Inavasi. Tulasi Krishna Preyasi. Namo Namo Tulasi. Yani Kanisha Papane Brahma Tari Kanisha Tani Tani Prana Santi Pradakshina Pade Pade. Yani Kanisha Papane Brahma Hatari Kanisha Tani Tani Prana Santi Pradakshina Pade Pade. Yani Kanisha Papane Brahma Hatari Kanisha Tani tani prana sanche pradakshana pade pade. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Vrinda Devi. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Srimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Vrindai Tulsi Devi Piya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavataye Namo Namaha. Vrindai Tulsi Devi Priya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavataye Namo Namaha. Vrindaye Tulsi Devi Priya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavataye Namo Namaha. Jai Srimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. O Tulsi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has wishes fulfilled. Bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also grant me a residence in pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavan. Last within my vision, I will always be wholly beautiful. Pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of Kavidams as Uvaj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen and lowly servant Krishna praise. May I always swim in love with Shri Radha and Govind. Srimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shikhastakam ki jai. Ido Darpanamajanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nivapanam Shri Akarivra Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritaswadanam Sarvatmasnam Param Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Baudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Shmarane Nakala Bhagavan Mamapi Durdhaiva Midrisham Hiyajani Nanuragaha Trinadapi Swanichena Tarorapi Saishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadari Na dhanam na janam na sundarim Kavitam jagadishakamaye Mama janmani janmanishwari Bhavatar bhakti rahituki tvai Ai nandatanuja kinkaram Paritama vishame bhavam budau Kripaya tava pada pankaja Sitadhuli sadrisham vichintaya Nayanam galora shrudharaya Varanam gadagadharudhaya gira Pulakairinchitam vapukada Tavanama grahane bhavishyati Juga itam nimishena Chakshusha prarusha itam Shunya itam jagata sarvam Govinda virahe name Asli shava padaratam pinashtamam Adarshanar marmahatam karotuva Jata tathava vidadhatulam pato Mat pranatastu saivana para Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikshastakam Ki Jai Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gora Tveshe Namaha Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rule for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than straw in his street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause of devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yes, some or other, I've fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes will be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on the end of the recitation of your name? Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he should remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sri Krishna Kam Ki Jai. Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Guru Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigods, like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literatures or literatures and pursuits of Vedic version. 5. Consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitive activity, karma kanda. 9. To instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. And 10. Do not have complete faith in chanting the holy names, and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls.
Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Maganyatimirantasya Janasalakaya Chakshurunmitangena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Shapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Pachkamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sahajatam Sahaguna Ragunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Saidvaitam Savadutam Padijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahaguna Lalita Shri Vishaka Nivitam Sa Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Guruvai Pucharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shivasabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhur Ujjvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhakti Dha Shri Gora Karuna Sakti Shri Daya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Abhisidanta Dvantaharime Namo Gora Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambar Sambodhe Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitananda Namine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gora Vir Bhava Bhumanestvam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhuma Sri Jagannathayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarabhyascha Kripasindubhye Bhacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Bodhayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gurachuse Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratur Pangur Mama Manda Mater Gati Matsarva Swapadambo Jo Radha Madana Mohanam Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Jumadaha Shimad Ratnagara Simhasanastito Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prastali Bihi Sevyamano Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasaram Bivam Sivata Tatastita Karsan Venusmanir Gopir Gopinatak Striyestuna Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanus Devi Paramami Hari Priye Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadi Radhir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chentamani Prakara Satma Sukalpa Riksha Laksha Vritesha Surabhira Vipalyantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambhrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Venam Kwanandam Adhavinda Talayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Sobham Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandrakala Sadvanamalya Vamsi Ratnam Gadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shyamam Jibanga Lalita Nita Prakasam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vritti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadvijvala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purisham Navayovanam Cha Vedesa Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayoratapi Manasomani Pungamanam Sopyasti Yat Prapadasimya Vichintya Tatve Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sora Chaitam Jagadanda Kotim Yas Chakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayayadanta Danta Rasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manajasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Busaha Suktarya Meva Nigama Pratitaistuvanti Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Bistabirya Eva Nijarupa Tayakalabi Goloka Eva Nivasata Kilatma Bhuto Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilona Chanena Santak Sadeva Hidesa Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Sukalani Menatistan Nana Avatara Makarod Bhuvanesu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramam Pamamyo Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagananda Koti Yas Chakti Rasta Nidam Tad Brahma Niskalam Anantam Asesha Bhutam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Mayahi Yasya Jagadanda Satani Sute Jaigun Yatad Vishaya Veda Vitayamanam Sattva Valambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Mataya Manasu Yaprani Lam Patifalam Smaratam Upetya Lilayatena Bhuvanani Jaya Yajasram Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Goloka Namni Nichidamni Tale Chatasya Devi Mahiswaritama Sute Sutesu Tete Prabhavani Chaya Vihitascha Yena Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Shististati Pralaya Sadhava Sakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vivarti Durga Ichana Rupam Pyasya Chachesta Tesa Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Visesa Yoga Sanjayate Nahitata Pritakaste Heto Yasambutama Pitata Samapaitikaya Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Departure Devihita Santanam Abhyupetya Dipayate Vivita Hetastam Dharma Yastadri Gevahicha Vishnu Tayavibhati Govindam Adipurisham Tamaham Bhajami Yakarna Narnava Jale Bhajatisma Yoga Nidramananta Jagadanda Saroma Kubaha Adhara Saktim Avalambya Param Swamurtim Govindam Adipurisham Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasyaika Nishvasita Kalamatavalamya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanata Vishnur Mahansa Yasyakala Viseso Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajam Basman Yatasma Sakalesu Nijesu Teja Sriyam Kiyat Pakatayat Apitat Vatatra Brahmaya Esa Jagadanda Vidana Karta Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Pada Palava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha Dvande Pranama Samayesa Ganadi Raja Vignan Vihanta Malamasya Jagatrayasya Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Agnir Mahiga Ganamambu Marudisasya Kalas Tatatma Manasiti Jagatrayani Asmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Visanti Yamcha Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yas Chaksuresa Savita Sakila Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Sesa Teja Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmota Papa Nichaya Sutastapamsi Brahma Dikita Patagavati Jiva Yadata Matra Vibhava Bhakatapa Bhava Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yastrinda Gopa Matavendra Mahoswa Karma Pandanu Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti Karmani Nidhati Kintu Chabakti Bhajam Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yam Kroda Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Biti Vatsalya Moa Guru Gaurav Sevya Bhavahai Samchintya Tasya Sadrisim Taramapurete Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purishatakapatavaro Jumabu Mischintamani Ganama Yito Yamamritam Kataganam Natyam Gamanam Apivam Sipriyasaki Chidanantam Jyoti Param Apitada Swadyam Apichasaya Trashiradi Bihishavati Shirabi Vyasya Sumahan Nimesa Dakyova Rajatina Hiyatrapi Samaya Bajay Swita Dugram Tamaham Iagulakam Itiam Vidantaste Santakshiti Virachara Katipa Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarvakarana Karamam Brahmasamita Ki Jai, Shri Guru Vastika prayers Ki Jai. The spiritual message receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I, for my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is an ocean of auspicious qualities. Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments, the spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind, sometimes his hair stands on end. He feels quivering in his body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves out of my respectful basis unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. He also engages the disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, and perform other similar worship of the Lord of my respectful basis unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzes that which is leaked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasada, he is satisfied to offer my respectful basis unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika and Madhava and their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment. I, for my respectful basis unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is very dear because he is expert at assisting gopis who at different times make different tastes of arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Rudana. I form my most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servant of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master as a bona fide representative of Sri Hare Krishna. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I to always remember and praise the spiritual master at least 3 times a day. I shall offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet, my spiritual master, his divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text number 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Kaschit Dare Somya Sutta Sadriksha. Aste Graniratinam Sadhu Sambha. Asutayam Jamba Vivatadya. Devam Guham Yo Mibikaya Dritogre. Kaschit, whether, Hare, of the personality Godhead, Samya, O grave one, Sutta, son, Sadriksha, similar.
similar.
Aste,
Aste,
fares well.
fares well.
Agrani,
Agrani,
foremost.
foremost.
Ratinam,
Ratinam,
of the warriors.
of the warriors.
Sadhu,
Sadhu,
well behaved.
well behaved.
Samba,
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 Asuta,
Asuta,
gave birth.
gave birth.
Yam,
Yam,
whom. Jambavati,
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 a queen of Lord Krishna's.
queen of Lord Krishna.
Ratadya, enriched by vows. Devam,
Devam,
the demigod.
demigod.
Guham,
Guham,
of the name Kartikeya.
the name Kartikeya.
Ya, whom.
Whom,
Ambikaya,
Kaya,
unto the wife of Shiva.
unto the wife of Shiva.
Drita, born. Agre,
Great,
in the previous birth.
in the previous birth.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O gentle one, does Samba fare well? He exactly resembles the son of the personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva. And now, he has been born in the womb of Jambavati, the most enriched wife of Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Shiva, one of the three qualitative incarnations of the personality of Godhead, is the plenary expansion of the Lord. Kartikeya, born of him, meaning Shiva, is on the level of Pradyumna, another son of Lord Krishna. When Lord Shri Krishna descends into the material world, all his plenary portions also appear with him to exhibit different functions of the Lord. But for the pastimes at Vrindavana, all functions are performed by the Lord's different plenary expansions. Vasudeva is a plenary expansion of Narayana. When the Lord appeared as Vasudeva before Devaki and Vasudeva, he appeared in his capacity as Narayana. Similarly, all the demigods of the heavenly kingdom appeared as associates of the Lord in the form of Pradyumna, Samba, Uddhava, etc. It is learned here that Kamadeva appeared as Pradyumna, Kartikeya as Samba, and one of the Vasus as Uddhava. All of them served in their different capacities in order to enrich the pastimes of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O gentle one, does Samba fare well? He exactly resembles the son of the personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva. And now he has been born in the womb of Jambavati, the most enriched wife of Krishna. Well, there's a lot of interesting points in this purport. And yesterday we began to talk about it somewhat. In the history of Pradyumna, and then there's the history of Samba. So, Pradyumna is born as the son of Krishna and Rukmini. And Prabhupada writes, it is said that Cupid, who is directly part and parcel of Lord Vasudeva, and who was formerly burned to ashes by the anger of Lord Shiva, took birth from the womb of Rukmini, begotten by Krishna. This is Kamadeva, a demigod of the heavenly planets, especially capable of inducing lusty desires. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has many grades of parts and parcels, but the quadruple expansions of Krishna, Vasudeva, Sankarsan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, are directly in the Vishnu category. Kama, or the Cupid demigod, who later took his birth from the womb of Rukmini, was also named Pradyumna, but he cannot be the Pradyumna of the Vishnu category. He belongs to the category of Jiva Tattva, but for exhibiting special power in the category of demigods, he was a part and parcel of the super prowess of Pradyumna. That is the verdict of the Goswamis. Therefore, when Cupid was burned to ashes by the anger of Lord Shiva, he merged into the body of Vasudeva, and to get his body again, he was begotten in the womb of Rukmini by Lord Krishna himself. Thus he was born as the son of Krishna and celebrated by the name Pradyumna because he was begotten by Lord Krishna directly. His qualities were most similar to those of Krishna. There was a demon of the name Sambara who was destined to be killed by Pradyumna. The Sambara demon knew of his destiny, and as soon as he learned that Pradyumna had been born, he took the shape of a woman and kidnapped the baby from the maternity home less than 10 days after his birth. The demon took him and threw him directly into the sea. But as it is said, whoever is protected by Krishna, no one can kill, and whoever is destined to be killed by Krishna, no one can protect. When Pradyumna was thrown into the sea, a big fish immediately swallowed him. Later, this fish was caught by the net of a fisherman, and the fish was later sold to the Sambara demon. In the kitchen of the demon was a maidservant whose name was Mayavati. This woman had formerly been the wife of Cupid, called Rati. When the fish was presented to the demon Sambara, it was taken charge of by his cook, who was to make it into a palatable fish preparation. Demons and Rakshasas are accustomed to eat meat, fish, and similar non-vegetarian foods. Demons like Ravana, Kamsa, and Hiranyakashipu, although born of Brahmana and Kshatriya fathers, used to take meat and fish without discrimination. This practice is still prevalent in India, and those who eat meat and fish are generally called demons and Rakshasas. When the cook was cutting the fish, he found within its stomach a nice baby, which he immediately presented to the charge, or he presented to Mayavati, who was an assistant in the kitchen affairs. This woman was surprised to see how such a nice baby could remain within the belly of a fish, and the situation perplexed her. The great sage Narada then appeared and explained to her about the birth of Pradyumna and how the baby had been taken away by Sambara and later thrown into the sea. In this way, the whole story was disclosed to Mayavati. Mayavati knew that she had previously been Rati, the wife of Cupid, after her husband was burned to ashes by the wrath of Lord Shiva. She was always expecting him to come back in a material form. This woman was engaged for cooking rice and dal in the kitchen. But when she got this nice baby and understood that he was Cupid, her own husband, she naturally took charge of him and with great affection began to bathe him regularly. Miraculously, the baby swiftly grew up, and within a very short period, he became a beautiful young man. His eyes were just like the petals of lotus flowers, and his arms were long, reaching down to his knees. Any woman who happened to see him was captivated by his bodily beauty. Mayavati could understand that her former husband, Cupid, born as Pradyumna, had grown into such a nice man, and she also gradually became captivated and lusty, smiling before him with a feminine attractiveness. She expressed her desire for sexual union. He therefore inquired from her, "How is it possible that first you were affectionate like a mother, and now you are expressing the symptoms of a lusty woman? What is the reason for such a change?" On hearing this statement from Pradyumna, the woman, Rati, replied, "My dear sir, you are the son of Lord Krishna. Before you were 10 days old, you were stolen by the Sambara demon and later thrown into the water and swallowed by a fish. In this way, you have come under my care. But actually, in your former life as Cupid, I was your wife. Therefore, my manifestation of conjugal symptoms is not at all incompatible. Sambara wanted to kill you, and he is endowed with various mystic weapons. Therefore, before he again attempts to kill you, please kill him as soon as possible with your divine power. Since you were stolen by Sambara, your mother, Rukmini Devi, has been in a very grievous conditions. Like a Kutari bird who has lost her babies, she is very affectionate toward you, and since you have been taken away from her, she has been living like a cow, aggrieved over the loss of its calf." Mayavati had mystic knowledge of supernatural powers. Supernatural powers are generally known as Maya, and to surpass all such powers, there is another supernatural power called Mahamaya. Mayavati had the knowledge of the mystic power of Mahamaya, and she delivered to Pradyumna this specific energetic power in order to defeat the mystic powers of the Sambara demon. Thus being empowered by his wife, Pradyumna immediately went before Sambara and challenged him to fight. Pradyumna addressed him in very strong language so that his temper would be agitated and he would be moved to fight. At Pradyumna's words, the demon Sambara began being insulted, felt just as a snake feels after being struck by someone's foot. A serpent cannot tolerate being kicked by another animal or by a man, and it turns and it immediately bites its opponent. Sambara felt the words of Pradyumna as if they were a kick. He immediately took his club in his hand and appeared before Pradyumna to fight. Roaring like a thundering cloud in great anger, the demon began to beat Pradyumna with his club, just as a thunderbolt beats a mountain. Pradyumna protected himself with his own club and eventually struck the demon very severely. In this way, the fighting between Sambarasura and Pradyumna began in interest. But Sambarasura knew the art of mystic powers and could raise himself into the sky and fight from outer space. Ravana had the same powers. There is a demon of the name Maya, and Sambarasura had learned many mystic powers from him. He thus raised himself high into the sky and threw various types of nuclear weapons, notice the word nuclear weapons, at the body of Pradyumna. To combat the mystic powers of Sambarasura, Pradyumna invoked another mystic power known as Mahavidya, which was different from the black mystic power. The Mahavidya mystic power is based on the quality of goodness. Sambara, understanding that his enemy was formidable, took assistance from various kinds of demoniac mystic powers belonging to the Guyakas, the Gandharvas, the Pisachas, and the snakes and the Rakshasas. But although the demon exhibited his mystic powers and took shelter of supernatural strength, Pradyumna was able to counteract his strength and powers by the superior power of Mahavidya. When Sambarasura was defeated in every respect, Pradyumna took his sharp sword and immediately cut off the demon's head, which was decorated with a helmet and valuable jewels. When Pradyumna thus killed the demon, all the demigods in the higher planetary systems showered flowers on him. Pradyumna's wife, Mayavati, could travel in outer space, and therefore they directly reached Dwarka his father's capital, by the airways. They passed above the palace of Lord Krishna and came down as a cloud comes down with lightning. The intersection of a palace known as the Antapura, private apartments. Pradyumna and Mayavati could see many women there, and they sat down among them. When the women saw Pradyumna dressed in yellowish garments with very long arms, curly hair, beautiful reddish eyes, a smiling face, jewelry, and ornaments, they, at first, could not recognize him as a as a personality different from Krishna. They all felt very bashful at the sudden presence of Krishna and wanted to hide in a different corner of the palace. When the women saw, however, that not all the characteristics of Lord Krishna were present in the personality of Pradyumna, out of curiosity they came back to see him and his wife, Mayavati. All of them were conjecturing as to who he was, for he was so beautiful. Among the women was Rukmini Devi, who was quite beautiful, with her lotus-like eyes. Seeing Pradyumna, she naturally remembered her own son, and milk began to flow from her breasts out of modest motherly affection. She then began to wonder, who is this beautiful young boy? He appears to be the most beautiful person. Who is the fortunate young woman able to conceive this nice boy in her womb and become his mother? And who is that young woman who has accompanied him? How have they met? Remembering my own son, who was made stolen from the maternity ward, I can only guess that if he is living somewhere, he might have grown by this time to be like this boy. Simply by intuition, Rukmini could understand that Pradyumna was her own lost son. She could also observe that Pradyumna resembled Lord Krishna in every respect. She was struck with wonder as to how he had acquired all the characteristics of Lord Krishna. She therefore began to think more confidently that the boy must be her own grown-up son, because she felt so much affection for him, and, as an auspicious sign, her left arm was trembling. At that very moment, Lord Krishna, along with his father and mother, Devaki and Vasudeva, appeared on the scene. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could understand everything, yet in that situation he remained silent. However, by the desire of Lord Sri Krishna, the great sage Narada also appeared, and he disclosed all the incidents, how Pradyumna had been stolen from the maternity home, and how he had grown up and had come there with his wife Mayavati, who had formerly been Rati, the wife of Cupid. When everyone was informed of the mysterious disappearance of Pradyumna and how he had grown up, they were all struck with wonder, because they had gotten back their dead son after they were almost hopeless of his return. When they understood that it was Pradyumna who was present, they received him with great delight. One after another, all the members of the family, Devaki, Vasudeva, Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Balarama, Rukmini, and all the women of the family embraced Pradyumna and his wife Mayavati. When the news of Pradyumna's return spread all over the city of Dwarka, all the astonished citizens came with great eagerness to see the lost Pradyumna. "This dead son has come back," they said. "What can be more pleasing than this?" Srila Sukadeva Goswami has explained that in the beginning, all the ladies of the palace, who were all mothers and stepmothers of Pradyumna, mistook him to be Krishna and were all bashful, infected by the desire for conjugal love. The explanation is that Pradyumna's personal appearance was exactly like Krishna's, and he was factually Cupid himself. There was no cause for astonishment, therefore, when the mothers of Pradyumna and the other women mistook him in that way. It is clear from this statement that Pradyumna's bodily characteristics were so similar to Krishna's that he was mistaken for Krishna even by his mother. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 55th chapter of Krishna Pradyumna born to Krishna and Rukmini. Haribol. So that's an amazing story, and it's very detailed, and we see that there is such a thing as miracles. We should not doubt it. We can also experience the miracles in our own lives. Not on the level maybe of Pradyumna, but certainly as astonishing. So also in this purport, it talks about Samba. The history of Samba is also very interesting. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm going to read some of it because it's directly related to the Kurus and the Pandavas. So it says, the marriage of Samba. Duryodhana, the son of Dhritarashtra, had a marriageable daughter by the name of Lakshmana. She was a very highly qualified girl of the Kuru dynasty, and many princes wanted to marry her. In such cases, the Swayamvara ceremony is held so that the girl may select her husband according to her own choice. In Lakshmana's Swayamvara assembly, when the girl was to select her husband, Samba appeared. He was the son of Krishna's by Jambavati, one of Lord Krishna's chief wives. This son, Samba, was so named because he was a pet child and always lived close to his mother. The name Samba indicates a son who is very much his mother's pet. Amba means mother, and Sa means with. So this special name was given to him because he always remained with his mother. She was also known as Jambavati Sutta for the same reason. As previously explained, all the sons of Krishna were as qualified as their great father. Samba wanted Duryodhana's daughter, Lakshmana, although she was not inclined to have him. Therefore, Samba kidnapped Lakshmana by force from the Swayamvara ceremony or assembly. Because Samba took Lakshmana away from the assembly by force, all the members of the Kuru dynasty, such as Dhritarashtra, Bhisma, Vidura, and Arjuna, thought it an insult to their family tradition that the boy, Samba, could possibly have kidnapped their daughter. All of them knew that Lakshmana was not at all inclined to select Samba as her husband, and that she was not given the chance to select her own husband. Instead, she was forcibly taken away by this boy. Therefore, they decided that he must be punished. They unanimously declared that he was most impudent and had degraded the Kuru's family tradition. Therefore, all of them, under the counsel of the elder members of the Kuru dynasty, decided to arrest the boy but not kill him. They concluded that the girl could not be married to any boy other than Samba, since she had already been touched by him. According to the Vedic system, once being touched by some boy, a girl cannot be married or given to any other boy, nor would anyone agree to marry a girl who had already thus associated with another boy. Boy, they should teach that today. That'd be very interesting. The elder members of the family, such as Bhisma, wanted to arrest him. Thus all the members of the Kuru dynasty, especially the great fighters, joined together just to teach him a lesson, and Karna was made the commander-in-chief for this small battle. While making the plan to arrest Samba, the Kurus counseled amongst themselves that upon his arrest, the members of the Yadu dynasty would be very angry with them. There was every possibility of the Yadus accepting the challenge and fighting with them. But they also thought, if they came here to fight with us, what could they do? The members of the Yadu dynasty cannot equal the members of the Kuru dynasty because the kings of the Kuru dynasty are the emperors, whereas the kings of the Yadu dynasty are able to enjoy their land only because we have granted it to them. The Kurus thought, if they come here to challenge us because their son was arrested, we shall accept the fight and and teach them a lesson so that automatically they will be subdued under pressure as the senses are subdued by the mystic yoga process of pranayama. In the senses, in the mechanical system of mystic yoga, the airs within the body are controlled and the senses are subdued and checked from being engaged in anything other than meditation upon Lord Krishna. After consultation and after receiving permission from the elder members of the Kuru dynasty, such as Bhisma and Dhritarashtra, 5 great warriors, Karna, Sala, Buri, Yajnaketu, and Duryodhan, the father of the girl, who were all Maharatis, meaning they can kill 10,000 people at a time, or they have the power of 10,000 men, and who were guided by the great fighter Bhismadeva, attempted to arrest the boy Samba. There are different grades of fighters, including Maharati, Ekarati, and Rati, classified according to their fighting ability. These Maharatis could fight alone with many thousands of men, all of them combined together to arrest Samba. Samba was also a Maharati, but he was alone and had to fight with 6 other Maharatis. Still, he was not deterred. Okay. Still, he was not deterred when he saw all the great fighters of the Kuru dynasty coming up behind him to arrest him. Alone, he turned toward them and took his nice bow, posing exactly as a lion stands, adamant in the face of other animals. Karna, leading the party, challenged Samba. "Why are you fleeing? Just stand and we shall teach you a lesson." When challenged by another Kshatriya to stand and fight, a Kshatriya cannot run away. He must fight. Therefore, Samba accepted the challenge and stood alone before them. But as soon as he did so, he was overpowered by showers of arrows shot by all the great warriors. A lion is never afraid of being chased by many wolves and jackals. Similarly, Shamba, the glorious son of the Yadu dynasty, endowed with inconceivable potencies as the son of Lord Krishna, became very angry at the warriors of the Kuru dynasty for improperly using arrows against him. He fought them with great talent. First of all, he struck each of the 6 charioteers with 6 separate arrows. He used another 4 arrows to kill the charioteers' horses, 4 on each chariot. Then he used 1 arrow to kill the driver and 1 arrow for Krishna as well as the other celebrated fighters. While Samba was so diligently fought alone with the 6 great warriors, they all appreciated the boy's inconceivable potency. Even in the midst of the fighting, they admitted frankly that this boy Samba was wonderful. But the fighting was conducted in the Kshatriya spirit, so altogether, although it was improper, they obliged Samba to get down from his chariot, now broken to pieces. Of the 6 warriors, 4 took care to kill Samba's 4 horses, 1 struck down his chariot driver, and 1 managed to cut the string of Samba's bow so that he could no longer fight with them. In this way, with great difficulty and after a severe fight, they deprived Samba of his chariot and were able to arrest him. Thus, the warriors of the Kuru dynasty accepted their great victory and took their daughter Lakshmana away from him. Thereafter, they entered the city of Hastinapura in great triumph. Prabhupada says, the great sage Narada immediately carried the news to the Yadu dynasty that Samba had been arrested and told them the whole story. The members of the Yadu dynasty became very angry at Samba's being arrested, and improperly so by 6 warriors. Now, with the permission of the head of the Yadu dynasty, King Ugrasena, they prepared to attack the capital city of the Kuru dynasty. Although Lord Baladeva knew very well that by slight provocation people are prepared to fight with one another in the age of Kali, he did not like the idea that the 2 great dynasties, the Kuru dynasty and the Yadu dynasty, would fight amongst themselves, even though they were influenced by Kali Yuga. Instead of fighting with them, He wisely thought, let me go there and see the situation, and let me try to see if the fight can be settled by mutual understanding. Balarama's idea was that if the Kuru dynasty could be induced to release Samba along with his wife Lakshmana, then the fight could be avoided. He therefore immediately arranged for a nice chariot to go to Hastinapur, accompanied by learned priests and brahmanas, as well as by some of the elder members of the Yadu dynasty. He was confident that the members of the Kuru dynasty would agree to this marriage and avoid fighting with the Yadus. As Lord Balarama proceeded toward Hastinapur in his chariot, accompanied by the brahmanas and elders, he looked like the moon shining in the clear sky, amongst the glittering stars. When Lord Balarama reached the precincts of the city of Hastinapura, he did not enter, but stationed himself in a camp outside the city in a small garden. Then he asked Uddhava to meet with the leaders of the Kuru dynasty and inquire from them whether they wanted to fight with the Yadu dynasty or to make a settlement. Uddhava went to see the leaders of the Kuru dynasty, and he met all the important members, including Bhismadeva, Dhritarashtra, Dronacharya, Duryodhana, and Balika. After offering them due respects, he informed them that Lord Balaram had arrived at the garden outside the city gate. The leaders of the Kuru dynasty, especially Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, were joyful because they knew very well that Lord Balarama was a great well-wisher of their family. There were no bounds to their joy on hearing the news, and so they immediately welcomed Uddhava. In order to properly receive Lord Balaram, they all took in their hands auspicious paraphernalia for his reception and went to see him outside the city gate. According to their respective positions, they welcomed Lord Balarama by giving him in charity nice cows, argya, a mixture of arati water, and an assortment of items such as honey, butter, flowers, and sandalwood pulp. Because all of them knew the exalted position of Lord Balarama as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they bowed their heads before the Lord with great respect. They all exchanged words of reception by asking one another about their welfare, and when when such formalities were finished, Lord Balarama, in a great voice and very patiently, submitted before them the following words for their consideration. My dear friends, this time I have come to you as a messenger with the order of the all-powerful King Ugrasena. Please therefore hear the order with attention and great care. Without wasting a single moment, please try to carry out the order. King Ugrasena knows very well that you warriors of the Kuru dynasty improperly fought with the pious Samba, who was alone, and that with great difficulty and unrighteous tactics you have arrested him. We have all heard this news, but we are not very much agitated because we are most intimately related to one another. I do not think that we should diminish our good relationship. We should continue our friendship without any unnecessary fighting. Please, therefore, immediately release Samba and bring him along with his wife, Lakshmana, before me. When Lord Balarama spoke in a commanding tone full of heroic assertion, supremacy, and chivalry, the leaders of the Kuru dynasty did not appreciate his statements. Rather, all of them became agitated, and with great anger they said, "Oh, these words are very astonishing, but quite befitting the age of Kali. Otherwise, how could Balarama speak so vituperatively? Vituperatively. That means with such, insult, and condescension. We'll look that word up. Vituperatively. What's it say?
It's bitter and abusive.
Abusive, okay.
Yeah.
The language and tone used by Balaram was simply abusive. And due to the influence of this age, it appears that the shoes befitting the feet want to rise to the top of the head, where the helmet is born. That's a very, very good example. Let's see. Okay. We are connected with the Yadu. That's, of course, the Kurus are speaking like that. And that's very insulting. We are connected with the Yadu dynasty by marriage, and because of this, they have been given the chance to come live with us, dine with us, and sleep with us. Now they are taking advantage of these privileges. They had practically no position before we gave them a portion of our kingdom to rule, and now they are trying to command us. We have allowed the Yadu dynasty to use the royal insignias like the whisk, fan, conch shell, white umbrella, crown, royal throne, sitting place, and bedstead. Although, with everything else befitting the royal order, they should not have used such royal paraphernalia in our presence, but we did not check them due to our family relationships. Now they have the audacity to order us to do things. Well, enough of their impudence. We cannot allow them to do any more of these things, nor shall we allow them to use these royal insignias. It would be best to take all these things away. It is improper to feed a snake with milk, since such merciful activities simply increase his venom. The Yadu dynasty is now trying to go against those who have fed them so nicely. Their flourishing condition is due to our gifts and merciful behavior, and still they are so shameless that they are trying to order us. How regrettable are all these activities. No one in the world can enjoy anything if members of the Kuru dynasty like Bhisma, Dronacharya, and Arjuna do not allow them to, exactly as a lamb cannot enjoy life in the presence of a lion. Without our desire, it is not even possible for the demigods in heaven, headed by King Indra, to find enjoyment in life. What to speak of ordinary human beings? Actually, the members of the Kuru dynasty were very much puffed up due to their opulence, kingdom, aristocracy, family tradition, great warriors, family members, and vast, expansive empire. They did not even observe common formalities of civilized society, and in the presence of Lord Balaram, they uttered insulting words about the Yadu dynasty. Having spoken in this unanimous, unmannerly way, they returned to their city of Hastinapur. Although Lord Balaram patiently heard their insulting words and simply observed their uncivil behavior, from his appearance it was clear that he was burning with anger and was thinking of retaliating with great vengeance. His bodily features became so much agitated that it was difficult for anyone to look at him. He laughed very loudly and said, "It is true that if a man becomes too much puffed up because of his family, opulence, beauty, and material advancement, he no longer wants a peaceful life, but becomes belligerent toward all others. It is useless to give such a person good instruction for gentle behavior and peaceful life. On the contrary, one should search out the ways and means to punish him. Generally, due to material opulence, a man becomes exactly like an animal. To give an animal peaceful instructions is useless, and the only means is argumentum ad baculum. In other words, you argue with a stick. In other words, the only means to keep animals in order is a stick. Just see how impudent are the members of the Kuru dynasty. I want to make a peaceful settlement despite the anger of all the other members of the Yadu dynasty, including Lord Krishna himself. They were preparing to attack the whole kingdom of the Kuru dynasty, but I pacified them and took the trouble to come here to settle the affair without any fighting. Yet these rascals behave like this? It is clear that they do not want a peaceful settlement, for they are factually warmongers. With great pride, they have repeatedly insulted me by calling the Yadu dynasty ill names. Even the king of heaven, Indra, abides by the order of the Yadu dynasty, and you consider King Ugrasena, the head of the Bhojas, Vrishnis, Andakas, and Yadavas, to be the leader of a small phalanx. Your conclusion is wonderful. You do not care for King Ugrasena, whose order is obeyed even by King Indra. Consider the exalted position of the Yadu dynasty. They have forcibly used both the assembly house and the Parijata tree of the heavenly planets, and still you think that they cannot order you? Don't you even think that Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can sit on the exalted throne and command everyone? All right, if you are thinking like that, you deserve to be taught a very good lesson. You have thought it wise that the royal insignias, like the whisk, fan, white umbrella, royal throne, and other princely paraphernalia, not be used by the Yadu dynasty? Does that mean that even Lord Krishna, the Lord of the whole creation and the husband of the goddess of fortune, cannot use the royal paraphernalia? The dust of Krishna's lotus feet is worshipped by all the great demigods. The Ganges water inundates the whole world, and since it emanates from his lotus feet, its banks have turned into great places of pilgrimage. The principal deities of all planets engage in his service and consider themselves most fortunate to take the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna on their helmets. Great demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and even the goddess of fortune and I are simply plenary parts of his spiritual identity, and still you think that he is not fit to use the royal insignia or even sit in the royal throne? Alas, how regrettable it is that these fools consider us, the members of the Yadu dynasty, to be like shoes and themselves like helmets. It is clear now that these leaders of the Kuru dynasty have become mad over their worldly possessions and opulence. Every statement they made was full of crazy proposals. I should immediately take them to task and bring them to their senses. If I do not take steps against them, it will be improper on my part. Therefore, on this very day, I shall rid the whole world of any trace of the Kuru dynasty. I shall finish them off immediately. Wow, Balaram's really angry. While talking like this, Lord Balarama seemed so furious that he looked as if he could burn the whole cosmic creation to ashes. He stood up steadily and, taking his plow in his hand, began striking the earth with it, separating the whole city of Hastinapur from the earth. And then he began to drag the city toward the flowing water of the river Ganges. This caused a great tremor throughout Hastinapur, as if there had been an earthquake, and it seemed that the whole city would be dismantled. When all the members of the Kuru dynasty saw that their city was about to fall into the water of the Ganges, and when they heard their citizens howling in great anxiety, they immediately came to their senses and understood what was happening. Thus, without waiting another second, they brought forward their daughter Lakshmana. They also brought Samba, who had forcibly tried to take her away, keeping him in the forefront with Lakshmana at his back. All the members of the Kuru dynasty appeared before Lord Balarama with folded hands, just to beg the pardon of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, using good sense, they said, "O Lord Balarama, reservoir of all pleasures, you are the maintainer and supporter of the entire cosmic situation. Unfortunately, we were all unaware of your inconceivable potencies. Dear Lord, please consider us most foolish. Our intelligence was bewildered and not in order. Therefore, we have come before you to beg your pardon. Please excuse us. You are the original creator, sustainer, and annihilator of the whole cosmic manifestation, and still, your position is always transcendental. All-powerful Lord, great sages speak about you. You are the original puppeteer, and everything in this world is just like your toy. O unlimited one, you have a hold on everything, and like child's play, you hold all the planetary systems on your head. When the time for this, so, in the form of Ananta Shesha. When the time for dissolution comes, you close up the whole cosmic manifestation within yourself. Because from Balaram, the first Chaturvyuha comes, then Narayana, then the second Chaturvyuha, and then the Vishnu deities. It's all coming from Balaram. Balaram is coming from Krishna, then all these other things are coming from Balaram. Our dear Lord. And at that time, nothing remains but yourself lying in the causal ocean, as the Mahavishnu, our dear Lord. You have appeared on this earth in your transcendental body just for the maintenance of the cosmic situation. You are above all anger, envy, and enmity. Whatever you do, even in the form of chastisement, is auspicious for the whole material existence. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you because you are the imperishable Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all opulences and potencies, O Creator of the innumerable universes. Let us fall down and offer you our respectful obeisances again and again. We are now completely surrendered unto you. Please, therefore, be merciful upon us and give us your protection. When the prominent members of the Kuru dynasty, from grandfather Bhismadeva to Arjuna and Duryodhana, had offered their respectful prayers in that way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balarama, immediately became softened and assured them that there was no cause for fear and that they need not worry. For the most part, it was the practice of Kshatriya kings to inaugurate some kind of fighting between parties of the bride and bridegroom before the marriage. When Samba forcibly took away Lakshmana, the elder members of the Kuru dynasty were pleased to see that he was actually the suitable match for her. In order to see his personal strength, however, they fought with him, and without respect for the regulations of fighting, they all arrested him. When the Kuru dynasty decided to release Samba from the confinement of the Kurus, Lord Balarama came. Lord Balarama came personally to settle the matter, and as a powerful Kshatriya, he ordered them to free Samba immediately. The Kauravas were superficially insulted by this order, so they challenged Lord Balarama's power. They simply wanted to see him exhibit his inconceivable strength. Thus, with great pleasure, they handed over their daughter to Samba, and the whole matter was settled. Duryodhana, being affectionate toward his daughter, Lakshmana, had her married to Samba in great pomp. For her dowry, he first gave 1,200 elephants, each at least 60 years old. Then he gave 10,000 nice horses, 6,000 chariots, dazzling just like the sunshine, and 1,000 maidservants decorated with golden ornaments. Lord Balarama, the most prominent member of the Yadu dynasty, acted as a guardian of the bridegroom Samba, and very pleasingly accepted the dowry. Balarama was very satisfied after his great reception from the side of the Kurus, and accompanied by the newly married couple, he started toward the capital city of Dwarka. Lord Balarama triumphantly reached Dwarka, where he met with many citizens who were all his devotees and friends. When they all assembled, Lord Balarama narrated the whole story of the marriage, and they were astonished to hear how Balarama had made the city of Hastinapur tremble. It is confirmed by Sukadeva Goswami that in those days, the river flowing through the city of Hastinapur, present-day New Delhi, was known as the Ganges, although today it is called the Yamuna. From authorities like Jiva Goswami, it is confirmed that the Ganges and Yamuna are the same river flowing in different courses. The part of the Ganges which flows through Hastinapur to the area of Vrindavana is called the Yamuna because it is sanctified by the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. The part of Hastinapur which slopes toward the Yamuna becomes inundated during the rainy season and reminds everyone of Lord Balarama's threatening to cast the city into the Ganges. Haribo, all glories to Prabhupada. So, very interesting two stories. And you can see what happens when people get puffed up because they have wealth, because of power, they have big family, and they have all kinds of weapons and things like that. They become very arrogant. But they're all going to be defeated by Krishna's. If they're not on Krishna's side, they're all going to be defeated.
But Maharaj, how do we justify his act, right? I mean, as a common person, still today also,
Whose actions?
Samba's act of forcibly taking away one girl.
That's
I mean,
that's what Kshatriyas do.
Uh, but against
They
somebody's
expect, they
wish,
expect to have a fight.
yeah.
I mean, Krishna did it too. You're going to criticize
But
Krishna.
Krishna's case, like Rukmini's case, like Rukmini herself was ready to actually she herself actually
Yeah.
invited or Krishna to take her away.
Yes.
In this case, it's little bit different situation where the girl is not ready to go and somebody is forcing her, even if he's so much powerful against her wish, her opinion, her these beliefs. Somebody is just taking her away from her family against her desire.
Well, you can say that if you want, but that's what Kshatriyas do.
Okay, so
That's part of, and when they do that, there's a fight. Sometimes.
is it, so my question maybe, is it because the Kali Yuga has started and the people,
No, Kali Yuga has not started yet.
so there are a couple of
It's
times,
at the end of Dwapara Yuga.
yeah.
It hasn't. Kali Yuga has not started. It only starts when Krishna leaves the planet.
And I think I see like how this dowry concept is coming in India and all those things. From here only, this people have started that tradition and going by. Today also there is a dowry in India. Like people give so much, even not people who are not capable. They also forcibly asking for dowry. It is very common, and some I can see that how these things over a period of time got derailed or got into a tradition and took some other.
Well, they're giving. They were very rich. I mean, the Kurus
I mean,
were very
yeah.
wealthy, so they could give a dowry like that. But yeah, the dowry system means if you have all daughters, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it because you want your daughter to marry someone who's a good man, right? So, and anyway, nothing belongs to you. So what's wrong with giving it to your daughter or your for her marriage? Yeah. Okay, we'll stop right there. Hare Krishna. All glories to Prabhupada. See, there's two things. A girl marries a man of her choice, and then later on she finds out she made a big mistake.
yeah, that's true.
You know,
That might happen.
yeah. So in this case, Samba is not a bad person. He's a very good person, right? It comes from a very good heritage. Yeah. So sometimes there's a saying in my language that says, if you give the choice to the girl, she'll marry either the drummer or the clarinet player. In other words, she'll marry some low-class people. She'll choose a low-class person, you know. So it's better that she gets kidnapped by a good person, right? Yeah. Or the family arranges the marriage with a good person from a good family. So it's not only in India. It's not only in India, it's in other cultures also.
Yeah, but India like more prevalent all these customs like dowry, this thing. Emergency fund.
When somebody is in financial distress, they don't use that money. They actually, like James and other people, right, they have transgenerational wealth. How is that? Is because with that money they just keep it along in case of emergency funds. But of course,
They don't
some-
gamble or
yeah, exactly. They invest
for
in
stock.
They just misuse
So I
that.
gotta go.
Yeah.
Sure, man. Very good.
Krishna. श्री गुरु चरण पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा बंद मुई सावधान माते सावधान माते जहर प्रसादे भाई ए भव तोरिया जाय हर प्रसादे भाई ए भव तोरिया जाय कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जहाँ होते गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चिते ते कोरिया क्या मुख पद्मा वाक्य चिते ते कोरिया क्या अरे ना कोरी हो मने आशा कोरी हो माने आशा श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा दे पूरे सर्व आशा चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेमा भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाशा जायते भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाशा जाय वेदे गाय जहाँ चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा अधम जनर बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना हाँ हाँ प्रभु करो दया देहो मोरे पद छाया ए बेजाज गुशिक त्रिभुवन शीला प्रभुपाद पतित पवन जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी Iti namine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Nami Iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री गुरुदेव की जय। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The lotus feet of our
Master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates, by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotee. O Loknath Goswami, O master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take the shelter of the lotus feet of Shiv Prabhupada Ki Jai.